good evening. This is Over and Over and Over Again. My name is Richard. It's a slightly different night this week, of course, due to the fact that the WSL have decided that we're going to play on Friday night, so we can't do the show tomorrow. So we are doing it tonight instead. We have still got some great stuff to talk about. Of course, we're going to look back on the Manchester United game from last week, discuss what was right and what was wrong with the performance and the result. Of course, there's been some more changes behind the scenes at Arsenal. Of course, not long after Jonas quit, Edu's quit as well, the director of football. Does it affect the women's team, and how much will it affect the women's team? That's what we're going to look at. Also, as well, there has been, of course, a change to the Women's Champions League game at the Emirates due to the Carabao Cup. So we're going to look at that. And also, as well, of course, there is a game tomorrow night against Brighton. So we're going to preview that as well. And it's all coming up the other side of this. And of course, joining us as ever is, of course, the Lord Andreas is in the house. How are you this week?
Yeah, not bad at all. Good evening, everybody. Looking forward to the show.
And lots to talk about, of course, as we mentioned, as there always is. There's always, there's never going to be a week where there's nothing to talk about, is there? There's always something going on at this club. Always stuff to talk about. Of course, we like to do things on this show chronologically. So we are going to go back to last weekend, of course, and the game against Manchester United, which, well, maybe could have gone a bit better. I mean, in some ways, it was a good performance. In fact, in many ways, it was a good performance, especially in the second half. But once again, we're unable to turn our dominance into goals or enough goals, and then we concede a daft goal. Now, these are themes that we've spoken about on this show numerous times over the last year or so, 18 months, and nothing seems to be changing, despite different players maybe in the team, a different manager now, of course, as well for the time being. And it's the same old mistakes, the same old things are going wrong. But again, there was a lot to enjoy about the way that we played. I thought in the second half in particular, we were really good. We got the goal, which we fully deserved. We couldn't get the second goal. And of course, that has come back to bite us many times before. And it did come back to bite us again with the scrappy equaliser for Man United. And in the end, it has to go down, as despite the fact it's a tough away game, it has to go down to 2 points dropped, I think. I mean, Andreas, what did you make of it? Because there was a lot of good things, but again, it's the same old problems, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm disappointed with the result, not with the performance. Maybe it was our best performance or one of the best performances in this season so far. And and then in the end, it's 1-1, and we lost 2 points and United won 1 point. That's how I felt after the game. I think when you see the match in total, then it could have had only one winner, Arsenal, because we were the better team, especially in second half, we were a dominant team. We created more chances, and after the goal from Alessia Russo, I think everybody was convinced that it will be a win for Arsenal. This will be the opening goal, and there will more goals to follow. And then we made the wrong subs. We shouldn't have taken Alessia out because she was the player of the match, the best player, I think, the one who created the chances, who was the best in our attacking third. And and what goal did we concede? Who had the idea that Kim Little should be the one to prevent Malar from scoring? Kim is not the tallest, really not, and she's the one who should head the ball out of the box after a corner. Strange idea. And then late subs couldn't change anything, and in the end it felt. I read or heard a lot after the match, and it was when United scored, everybody had the feeling United scored the 2-1 winning goal. And this was the feeling in the end. We lost 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And to be honest with you, I said that game was very similar to maybe the Everton game last season, wasn't it? When we went in front and then conceded a goal at the end from a set piece. And it's not just that one game. There's been so many in last season in particular, and now continuing into this season. And it's such a shame because the performance was really good. You couldn't fault the way we played. I mean, you say about taking Leslie off, and she did have a great game. There's no doubt about that. She was our best player by a mile. But we were 1-0 up, and maybe I could understand why we made that substitution. I could understand at the time we made it. It seemed to be fair enough. You know, you wouldn't play two strikers together when we're 1-0 up away from home at Man United. Too risky. You know, make the change like that. Stina gives the United defence something a little bit different to think about because her movement's different to Leslie's and stuff like that. And I didn't think at the time the substitution was that bad. Obviously, you look back and we throw away 2 points and you think, had we kept Leslie on, would it have made a difference? I don't know, because the goal we conceded was just poor defending. And yes, maybe Leslie would have been in there doing some defensive work, and maybe that could have been prevented. We'll never know now because it never happened. Yeah. Leslie did go off and they scored, but I don't know. I just think that it's a lack of concentration, a lack of organisation at the back. Kim's the captain. She should be making sure that she isn't left in that situation, because she was never going to win that battle, as you say, never going to win that battle. And she should, as captain, even if maybe the coach has said one thing or another, as a captain at the time, at that moment in the game, you've got to take control of that situation and say, actually, no, we're going to sort this out better. We're going to get maybe Leah Williamson to be in that position, or you know, one of the other players who maybe are slightly stronger in the air. And that's what she should have done as captain. And maybe the players themselves should have took that responsibility, and they didn't. And it's cost us an important goal, and it's cost us a massive 2 points. And now, I mean, in terms of the title race, we've been saying this for a while now. We can't afford to drop any more points, and we keep dropping more points. And here we are, a long way off the top. I mean, it's not technically over, but it's going to be very, very difficult now, isn't it, from this point? Even though we've played some tough games, and we've got an easier run of games, if you want to look at it like that, to come. But it's going to be really tough now, isn't it, for us to claw back that difference with Man City and Chelsea in particular.
Yeah, for me, the title race is over. It's only the 3rd place to concentrate, and we are still already 4 points behind Brighton before tomorrow. And just imagine if we lose to Brighton. I don't want to think about that. And and Chelsea and City. The day later, I watched apart from the Chelsea match against Everton. They scored 5 goals. Yeah, they showed how to score against a team like Everton. And we scored 0 against Everton, scored 1 against Leicester. Okay, 2 at West Ham, but we remember how the West Ham game was. It was not that good. So it's a total difference between the way Chelsea plays, City plays, and we shouldn't look at the top right now, but we should start winning or returning to winning ways and not look for the title challenge. Look at the 3rd place, and for this we have to beat Brighton to be in this race with Brighton and Man United. This is what I'm concerned about, not about the title. It's sad that after 7 or 8 games you say the season is over, but in fact it is. If we say, oh, we are competing for the title, and then in 2 or 3 weeks we say, oh, well, we are now 7 or 8 points behind the 3rd place. It will be difficult to compete for the title. Let's concentrate on 3rd place, and for this, the game tomorrow is a final. It was all in our hands. Yeah. We lost the points against United, against City and Chelsea. So we have to accept that this season we are not in the title race.
No, I think you're right. And what we need to do at the moment is we need to take one game at a time, don't we? Just win our next game and carry on like that. Do one game at a time and try to win it. And if we do that, then we'll just see where it takes us. I mean, yes, the title does look slim at the moment, but you know, there's still a lot of games to play. All the top teams have to play each other. They're all going to drop points. The lesser teams, as we know, are capable of taking points off the top team. So let's just win as many games as we can and see where we go. But yes, I mean, it seems unlikely now that we're going to compete for the title when it comes down to it. because we can't really afford to drop any more points. And the likelihood is with the games we've got to play, we probably are going to drop more points. I can't say it's winning every single game. I don't think that's going to be likely, but who knows? Let's just see what happens. We've got some comments with us already. Greg here, he says, evening, looking forward to a great show. Good to see you again, my friend. Terry's here as well. He says, good evening. Richard, Greg, all in the chat. Hit that like button early indeed. He says, evening to Lordy as well, of course. Terry says, personally, I think Arsenal business is in bigger trouble than we think. Maybe you're right. There seems to be a few people jumping ship at the moment. Not just Jonas. So yeah, maybe there are a few issues going on behind the scenes we're not aware of. Greg says, I agree with the Lord. The subs cost us that game. Yeah, maybe they did. We were winning 1-0 when they made them. So, sometimes subs have got us out of trouble. We've made subs and got back into a game and won. So, yeah, maybe it wasn't the right substitutions at the right time, but who knows? Terry says, we need to kick out Renee, Arteta and Garlic ASAP before it's too late. Well, yeah, I kind of agree with that, actually. Johnny says, I was reading the comments here, Arsenal signings have been awful in the past windows, and I'm not convinced with Caldente. She seems too slow and loses the ball a lot. I agree with you, actually. I think she does lose the ball a lot. I think she loses the ball a lot because she is trying to be creative and trying to do something a little bit different, try and take someone on and beat a player, and it doesn't always work. And maybe in the Spanish league she gets away with it because the Spanish league's a lot slower and the WSL is a lot more competitive on a week-to-weekly basis, and maybe she's got to adapt. I'm sure she will. It's early days for her. Let's not get too negative about her yet. I agree, she hasn't really shown her quality yet, but it's early days and I'm sure she'll come good. Joanne says, I always get the impression that Arsenal wants to pass or walk the ball into the net, making it hard work for themselves. Yeah, we do. Yeah, that seems to be, yeah, absolutely. That's been the case for a while now, the style of play. Same with the men's team. The women's team seem to have adopted the same kind of tactics, really. And yeah, I agree. It's difficult to watch sometimes. You just want someone to shoot. We're shouting at it, shoot. We get the ball outside the box. They don't want to shoot today. And it is frustrating. And it is making it hard for yourself. If you don't shoot, you're not going to score. And we're not scoring enough goals, quite honestly. Johnny makes a good point there. He says Chelsea goal differences with 17 goal difference is wild. Yeah, no, it is, absolutely. And, and we're really struggling on that front, aren't we? So what Chelsea have done, and this maybe needs to be a lesson for Arsenal now. We haven't got our full-time manager yet. But Chelsea went out there. Emma Hayes was going. What did they do? They went and got the best manager that was out there. And look at the results that's produced. It's not difficult to figure out, is it? You get the best people for the job, but you do tend to get better results. And it's got to be what Arsenal have got to do. I'm sorry, Renee. I like you. You're very nice. You know what you're doing. I've got no problem with you. But you're not the best there is out there. You're not. And sorry, but we should be looking for the best, whoever that is. And I don't mean the best that we can get. I mean the best that there is. Go out and get them. Chelsea went out and got the best manager, and I think that's what we need to do. I mean, Andreas, I know, Renee's doing okay. She clearly knows what she's doing. She's a good coach. The players seem to like all that kind of stuff. But this is an opportunity, isn't it, for Arsenal to go out and get the best we can possibly get and show that we're a serious club. And the only way to do that now, we can't just settle for anybody, can we? It's so important that we get this appointment right.
Yeah, that's what I said last week. This interim solution is not good for the development and for this season. You can have an interim coach for 2 games or something like that, what we had. But now saying we have the interim solution for another 5 games in this situation where we are. No, this won't bring us to where we want to be. And I read that Renee made at the beginning of her interim time a meeting with the players and said, what do you want? What do you think is going wrong? And what do you want to change? That's okay. Yeah, of course, she's only there for a few weeks and she doesn't want to make hard decisions or take players out or change too much. Of course, it's understandable. And she was the assistant of Jonas. She followed him in Sweden. She followed him to Arsenal and was his assistant there and here. So you can't expect that she does things totally different. Otherwise, she wouldn't be in his staff for so long. But we need someone who is here to stay and here to change things and organize things for the future. Even if this means to bench players who have always played or who were so important. Just make hard decisions for the future. We need someone who is here to build for the next years, for the next period, not only for 5 matches. Yeah, as I said, I don't have the name for this. I can't say this is the manager we need. It's so difficult, but make the decision and make it now. Don't wait too long. I see us waiting till the winter break and have the new manager in January.
Right, I think.
Then it's over. The season is over. Okay. But yeah, there are too many things going up at the moment with the Edu leaving and everything. Now the stadium chaos, and I think Arsenal is too concentrated on other things and not on the women's team at the moment.
Yeah, no, I don't even think it's just that. I actually think that they don't seem to be focused on football at all, really, at the moment. They seem to be more focused as a club on other stuff outside of football, and that's fair enough. You know, it's a business at the end of the day. We know that it's a business and it's there to make money, but ultimately, it can't lose track of the fact that it's a football club that should be there to compete and win trophies. That's what we should. That's what should be the ultimate goal, and everything else should come as a subsequence of that, not become the most important thing, which it seems to have done. And the fans, they don't care about the fans. They don't care about anything now, really, apart from the money that they can make. And it's not the club it once was. I mean, Derek's made a good point. I know we're not really here to talk about the men's team, and we are going to touch on it with the Edu thing, but Derek says we're finished. He says Arteta is exposed. Absolutely agree with you. But this comment is quite interesting. He says, now Trump is back, I'll be moving to the US and giving up on the Premier League anyway. Now, that's not a bad idea, actually, my friend. I might well join you. I think I might well join you because the UK is not a good place to be at the moment. Absolutely not. And certainly the Premier League football and football in general in this country isn't really as enjoyable as it once was. I do agree with you. But there you go. Johnny says this will be a 6th season without a title. Yes, it will. And that's might well be the longest we've ever gone. It probably is in history. I would imagine it probably might be far off, will it? LG says, I called for Jonas to be sacked at the end of last season. Indeed, you did. He said, I was even generous because he really should have gone after the Paris FC game. The fact that we kept him this season is the reason we're in this mess. It's part of the reason. I agree. I think there's more to it than just that. But yes, I agree. That is one of the reasons we're in. I mean, a mess is maybe a little bit harsh to call it a mess. It's not great. Obviously, it could be a lot worse. Terry says, as a club, we have gone so far backwards in the last 2 seasons. Managers crap, football's crap, spending is crap, and the players we buy are crap. That's true for the men's team. It's not fair in my book on our girls. Well, no, it's not. Absolutely not. It's not. But we'll come on to what's fair for the girls a bit later on. Terry says, Jonas paid the price. Edu jumped ship. That tells me there's big problems. And I agree. I do think there is. We'll talk about that in a minute. Joanne says, the new Chelsea manager inherited a great Chelsea side. It has still Emma Hayes' stamp on the club. No, it does. I agree. But if you're replacing a great manager with a great team, you've got to bring in a great manager as well, or it all just falls apart. You've got to bring in a manager who can handle those players and can build on what Emma has created. And that's exactly what Chelsea have done. I'm not saying that Jonas has created anything particularly, because he probably hasn't really. He's won a couple of trophies, which is great. He's put some things in place. But we need someone to come in now and actually just completely wipe everything clean and start again, quite honestly. This season's a write-off, as we said, for the league title. There's still cups that we can win. There's still European trophy that we can go for. But it needs to be a complete clean sweep, I think. Start from scratch. And if it means completely changing the way that we play, and if it takes 6 months to get it right because you've got to work on it, it's worth doing that for the long-term benefit of the club to get back to the top again. It ain't going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. We've got the basis here. We've got a good group of players. We just need someone to coach them properly and get the best out of them and work a way to make it better and to improve us. And if we get the right manager in, I've got no doubt we can do that. But yeah, Chelsea, it's a good club to take over, wasn't it? With where they've been, what they've won. But, you've still got to be able to manage that situation and build on it. And that's exactly what she's done, because she's a great manager, which we knew she was. LG says, the fact that the game against Brighton in December will be moved shows you there is still a long way to go to bridge the gap between the men and women. Yeah, exactly. We will talk about that again. Greg says, yes, we need a permanent manager, but I don't think the ex-Man City manager is the right person. Well, I'm not sure. He's got experience of the WSL. Sorry, he's got experience of managing. So I don't know. I wouldn't think he's necessarily a bad choice. Is he the best out there? No, he's not. Let's be honest. He's not the best out there. But that's my concern with it. I think he's a good manager, and he'd probably do okay. He's okay enough for us. I don't think he is. Okay is not enough. We need better than okay. Johnny says, unpopular opinion, we need a Zinsberger fist pumping to the fans after we score a goal. Who misses her? Well, I don't miss her. Do you miss her, Andreas Zinzi, in goal? I don't really. No,
really.
I don't think too many of us do, actually, to be honest. I mean, yeah, her personality is great, of course, and we kind of maybe miss that side of her, but not. We don't miss her goalkeeping. I think Daphne's done a great job so far, and I'm sure she's just going to get better and better. So there you go. Joanne says, apart from Emma Hayes, who is there out there as a great manager? Well, you've just mentioned it. Emma Hayes, she's the best there is. Let's go and get her. Let's go and get her. She loves Arsenal. She said in the recent podcast she loves Arsenal. Just go and get her. She's the best there is. Let's get her. She'd come. I'm telling you, she would come to Arsenal. She would come to Arsenal, and we would love it. Johnny says we need Phil Neville. No, we don't need Phil Neville. Let's get Gary Neville instead. And he says Emma, no, living her best life in here. Well, she is, yeah, but her best life really is in London, where she loves to be in London, really, and she loves Arsenal, really. So let's be honest. Terry says, let's be honest here, men's and women's teams are not good to watch anymore. Every player at Arsenal business is being turned into robots, and the thrill and skill are gone. No, you're right. I agree with you. It's heading that direction, unfortunately. Terry says Trump has more chance of saving the world than saving Arsenal. You know, you're probably right, actually. Maybe we should get him as new manager. Donald Trump, he'd be good, wouldn't he? LG says it's in our DNA as a club to make hard decisions too late. Yeah, absolutely. We are probably going to sack Arteta when it's absolutely when he's absolutely buried the club. Yeah, I think you're right. That's exactly what's going to happen. Kind of what happened with Arsene Wenger as well, wasn't it? We waited too long, and we're going to wait too long again. We waited too long with Jonas now. Looking back on it, I know I supported him, but maybe you're right. He should have gone at the end of last season. Anyway, Johnny says also Chelsea signings have been very good. Like Baltimore, Captain, yeah, they have been good. But then we've had some good signs, haven't we? Alessi Russo's a great player. You know, Mariana Caldente's a great player. So we've signed great players. We just haven't been able to find the best. We haven't got the best out of them. And that's a coaching problem. And that's a management problem, which now we're hoping we're going to solve. But that's what we've got to solve. We've got to solve it quickly. I mean, talking about obviously structure of the club and this, that, and the other. Obviously, there was some big news, very big news, shock news this week at the club in general. And will it affect the women's team? Let's see. Now, obviously, he's football director or director of football for the whole club. And of course, whenever Arsenal made a signing for the women's team, he manages to sneak his way into the picture, sitting there as though he's done anything. He won't have a clue about any women's players. He wouldn't know a women's football if they turned up at one of his barbecues. He doesn't have a clue about women's football, right? So he hasn't made any of those signings. It's more Claire Wheatley that's been involved in that side on the women's team. But he's still the director of football for the club. And it's a big position, and he's left. Of his own accord, he's resigned. He wasn't sacked, anything like that. He's actually left. Now, if the rumours are true about Jonas, he's left as well. The circumstances are different, obviously. But Jack Wilshere's also recently left the club. One of the youth coaches, you know, former Arsenal player. Lots of people seem to be jumping ship at the minute, and it's a bit of a worry. How this is going to affect the women's team with Edu, I'm not too sure. Because I don't think he had too much impact in any of the signings that we've made since he's been there. But it's the club, and we're all one club now, apparently. The men and the women's team, it's all one club. So he's been the director of football. I mean, what have you made of that, Andreas? Because it does seem to be something going on behind the scenes at Arsenal that we're not aware of, because lots of sort of issues seem to be coming up now. I mean, what do you make of this Edu situation?
I was totally surprised when I read this. But as you said, there are things going around behind closed doors. We don't know what was going up, what made him decide to leave, I don't know. But it's surprising. And as a head of football or director of football for a club, you don't leave in the middle of a season.
No.
If he says, I want to try something new, or maybe work at another club, then you do it at the end of the season and you announce it earlier. And I'm sure it would have been a surprise for everybody in the club that Edu leaves right now. And I heard rumors he's going to Nottingham Forest. I don't know whether this is confirmed, but if this comes true, well then it's still more strange. Yeah, how does it affect the women's team? We don't know. Was he the one behind Claire Wheatley, behind Claire Wheatley's decisions, or behind negotiations? Was he the one to say yes, we make this transfer, or doesn't he have any influence in the women's team? I don't know. But if the director of football of a club leaves in the middle of the season, it's surprising, it's strange, and it leaves a lot of questions. Who will replace him? Can we go on without a director of football for the whole club? It's a strange situation, and yeah, I think there is something going on at the club that is not only about football, and this makes me concerned.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest with you, the way this season has panned out so far, both on the pitch and off the pitch, is probably the most worrying time I can remember as an Arsenal fan, probably for 30 or 40 years. Something is going on behind the scenes. You're absolutely right. And there's unrest there. There's all sorts of stuff going on that we aren't aware of as fans, and some of it may well come out, some of it may not. I don't know, but clearly there's issues there, and obviously the men's club take the priority. Of course they do, because they generate the most money. But as they've tried to keep pushing on us, it's one club now. It's one club, and any decisions like this that are happening, any people behind the scenes that are in big positions, it affects everything at the club. It affects everybody. So it's big news. It's a shock. I personally don't think Edu was necessarily the best person for that job anyway. I felt that when they got him in. And I thought it was another case of bringing in people that don't have experience at the top level. We've had too many of them. And now maybe we're starting to realise that. I don't know. Obviously, Edu's made that decision himself. The Nottingham Forest thing's quite interesting, because it's not just one club, is it? The guy that owns Nottingham Forest owns 3 other clubs, and Edu's supposed to be there to oversee the whole project, all of the clubs. So maybe it's a bigger job with more money. But apparently Arsenal offered him the same money to stay, and he still turned it down. So there's issues there, isn't there? There is issues at this club right now. It's not a happy place, I don't think, at all. It's not a happy place to be. As a fan, it's not a happy place because we're not enjoying the games. As Terry said, the men's and the women's team at the moment, it's not enjoyable to watch. And there seems to be other issues behind the scenes as well, which is concerning. And yes, this may end up being a pivotal period in our history, in our modern history, maybe. Where the club go from here? What direction are we going to go in? We'll see, obviously, over the next few weeks and few months, I'm sure. But we've got some key positions now that need filling, and we've got to get the right people, because I don't think we had the right people before in those roles. And now that those roles are vacant, let's make the right decisions now, and let's get the right people in to drive this club forward again and put us back at the top of the tree, which is where we should be, both the men's and the women's team. That's where Arsenal should be, because of our history and what what we've built up over hundreds of years of history of this club, and that's what we need to look for now. We need to make the right decisions. But yeah, I'm really worried. I must admit, I'm really, really worried about where this club's heading at the moment. It's concerning, really, really much. But let's hope that it'll work out for the best in the end. We'll get a better manager in for Jonas that's gone. We'll get a better director of football than Edu to come in, and maybe the club can head forward in a good direction again, a positive direction moving forward, and that's what we want to see. But worrying times, there's no doubt about it. It is worrying times. Terry says, if Arsenal are serious, pay whatever it takes to get sorted here. I agree with you, my friend. I do. And we know Ainge doesn't. But you don't want her, Ainge. But she's the best manager, and she wins us loads and loads of nice trophies. I'm sure you'll forgive her, and you'll accept her, won't you? And Terry says, actually, yeah, it's a good point. Happy birthday to Angie's daughter. Yeah, the reason why Angie's not on the show tonight, it's her daughter's birthday today, and she's doing family stuff. But she has popped in to give a few comments. So happy birthday to Angie's daughter as well for today, of course. Terry says, Lordy said he was going to sing happy birthday to your daughter to end the show tonight. maybe we'll come to that. El Loco says Edu left because his voice was no longer strong. Arteta's success, success in inverted commas, gave him direct access to the owners, and he took all decisions on transfer without Edu's opinion. Edu opposed buying Sterling. Well, if he did, then I actually would support him because I opposed buying Sterling as well. I opposed it before we bought him. But anyway, there you go. And says, Effie says, thank you, no problem at all. You go off and do your birthday things, Ange. We'll speak soon, no doubt. LG says, just like the men's team, we sign players who are top players, but not in the areas we need. We don't make big signings when it matters. We waited too long to find the number one goalkeeper. Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I agree with all of that. Absolutely agree with you. 100% with all of that. I think was it last week when your comments were just absolutely spot on, and you're spot on again, my friend. You are. Great stuff. And says, rats deserting a sinking ship. Well, that's what it feels like. It feels like that, doesn't it, at the moment? It really does feel like that. And, unfortunately, us fans are kind of left to pick up the pieces, really, aren't we? Because we don't have a choice. We can't just say, you know what, we're going to bugger off and go and support someone else. It doesn't work like that. That's not how football is. Football is you've got your club and that's it, and you're stuck, unfortunately, sometimes. But I'm sure it will work out for the best in the end, eventually. But while we're talking about strange decisions and the club maybe being in a bit of a mess, this has got to be the biggest mess of the lot. I mean, honestly, just when you think things can't get any worse, we're losing games right, left, and centre. We're not going to win the league for the men's team. We're not going to win the league for the women's team. The club's in a mess. And they go and do this. Okay, maybe it's not just the club decision alone. We've got to understand that the ruling bodies of football are part of it. But the Women's Champions League game against Bayern Munich was put in place 2 or 3 months ago when the draw was made. Tickets have already been on sale. People have bought tickets to the game. The Carabao Cup tie was only organised a couple of weeks ago when we beat Preston last week. We beat Preston last week, right? And now what they're doing is they're saying, no, the Champions League game, no, forget that. That can be moved. The Carabao Cup's more important. No, it's not. Absolutely, it's not. Now, it's not going to happen. But what should happen is all the fans should boycott that Crystal Palace game and say, no, the women's game should be on tonight, and that's it. And then the club might actually wake up and realise what they're doing. It's the most ridiculous decision I think I've ever seen the club make. It's not just the club decision, but ultimately the club could say no. The Champions League game is in place. You have to find another date for the Crystal Palace game. Find another date. Play it another time. There's plenty of times they can play it. Just fit it in somewhere. It's the Carabao Cup, the least important competition of the lot. We're talking Women's Champions League, and it's the Bayern Munich game. It's not just any game. It's the Champions League that we worked hard to get in the first place. It's honestly, I was shocked yesterday when I saw the decision, and the more that time's gone on, I'm just so angry with the club. So angry with the club for doing it. This game should not be moved. It was there first. It sold tickets already. And okay, the Carabao Cup might well be important to Arsenal this season because it's a trophy that we might be able to win. But even so, regardless of all that, you can't move a fixture that's already there. It's already there. I mean, come on, what is going on? Arsenal say they've been promoting women's football. We're the biggest club in women's football. We want to, we get the biggest crowds. We're playing all the games at the Emirates. How brilliant we are! And then they go and make this decision. It just proves that they don't care about the women's team. Really, they don't care about it. What they care about is the money. The Carabao Cup tie is going to make them more money, and that's more important. And that is disgraceful, and that is shameful. And I'm ashamed to be an Arsenal fan right now. And this is just another reason to be ashamed. I mean. Andreas, what do you make of it? Because it's unbelievable. I haven't even got words to describe how bad it is. It's just awful, isn't it?
Yeah, I was shocked. I'm angry. And first, I couldn't understand that this really will happen. Of course, it's not only the club. It's also the English Football League to give this League Cup match in this week. Then it's Sky with the TV pick. They said it must be on Wednesday. Okay, but we as a club, we could have said it's not possible to play on this Wednesday at the Emirates. It's not possible because the Emirates is already booked for a Champions League game. And if then English Football League and Sky say, oh, there's no other choice, you have to play against Crystal Palace, the men's team, on Wednesday, okay, then we have to search another venue for the men's game. Yeah, of course, it's the money. The men's game will have 50,000 attendance and the women maybe 10,000. Yeah, of course, they make more money with the men's game. But overall, what the club earns overall over a season, this is such a small amount compared to the whole budget. And then saying, oh, we are one club mentality, and the Emirates is our new home for the women's team. Yeah. In brackets, it's only our home for the women's team if the men are not playing there.
Men are playing, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In September, the match was scheduled to this on this date, and for the Emirates, they sold more than 5,000 tickets. I've bought one, and now it's not played at the Emirates. We are in negotiations with the UEFA for exemption to play at Meadow Park, which has an attendance capacity of 4,000. So they sold more. They oversold Meadow Park. or we go to another venue in London or in Milton Keynes or somewhere. So throw away the home advantage for maybe the most important Champions League match for the women's team. I have no words for this. This is really a shame, and it's making me angry. And yeah, I haven't thought that this is possible in my club.
No.
Yeah. Sorry, no more words for this.
I mean, you're right, and you know, Arsenal, they've just been so hypocritical about it by saying how important the women's team is and how we're going to play them at the Emirates and all this kind of stuff. And suddenly now, the slightest little thing, oh well, the women can find something else to play or whatever it is. Move the game. Doesn't matter. It's honestly, it's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing. And of course, there's going to be loads of people out there that don't like women's football, don't support women's football at all, that probably don't even care. There'll be Arsenal fans that don't even care about this decision, right? And they should care. Even if you don't like women's football, even if you don't follow women's football, do you really want to be supporting or backing a club that's making these decisions? It's ridiculous. And I'm really, really, really angry. I've got to be honest. I'm angry. I'm upset about it. And I say I'm embarrassed that the club have done this. I really am. A club that said how much they support women's football. We've been at the forefront of women's football in this country for a very long time, since it was, since the very start of organised leagues and stuff like that in this country. We've been the team that's been driving it forward. And now we behave like this. We behave like this as though the women's team doesn't matter. The Women's Champions League, we're the only Arsenal team to have won the Champions League, by the way. This is how we get treated. This is how they get treated, the girls and everybody else. It's just, honestly, it's mental, absolutely mental. And yeah, I don't know what can be done. Probably nothing now. The decision's been made. Nothing can be done. I just think it's important that the fans, especially fans of the women's team, and especially people that's bought tickets for that game, expecting to come to the Emirates on that particular date, maybe made travel plans and everything else, they're the people that really need to make their feelings clear to the club that it's not acceptable. It is not acceptable to do that, and that's what needs to happen. Arsenal women have got a lot of fans. We can fill out 60,000 at the Emirates on occasions, right? So all those fans need to come together and say this is not acceptable. And I don't know, it's not going to necessarily change this one thing, but if it makes the club realize that they need to start changing their attitudes and changing the way that they do their business, then it'll be worth it in the long term. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely shocking. It is. I wasn't even aware of it. I was at work yesterday, didn't really know, and then someone sent it to me and said, "Have you seen this?" And literally, I was like just shocked. I thought there is no way the club would do that. They can't possibly do that, can they? The Carabao, okay, look, the Carabao Cup, right? I want Arsenal to win the Carabao Cup, as I want Arsenal to win everything, right? But you cannot change a game that's already there. It's already at the Emirates. The Emirates is already booked. It's like a wedding venue, isn't it? If you book your wedding venue, right, and then another wedding comes along, it might have more people attending, it might be a bigger wedding, comes along and says, actually, we want the wedding on that day now. And the wedding venue says, all right, now you can have it. We'll kick them lot out. They can go somewhere else. They can just go to their little parkway in the corner and have their wedding. How would you feel? You know what I mean? How would you feel about that? That's not acceptable in any shape or form. That is not acceptable. And what Arsenal have done is not acceptable. But they'll get away with it because the majority of people won't care, because the majority of people would rather the men's team play there on that day and don't worry about the women. They can. I saw there was a thing on social media that I think BBC had put on Facebook or something, and obviously announcing this decision, and people were saying, "Oh, well, let the girls go and play in the park." It's like, seriously, that's the level that we're up against as it is. We're up against that kind of mentality already, and for Arsenal to make this decision is just going to force those opinions even more. It's going to make it seem even more that the women's game is not as important, and that's the wrong decision that Arsenal have made. The wrong decision, and they should be ashamed of themselves, every single one of them. And I'm hoping that maybe Edu knew this was coming, and one of the reasons why he left, because he looked at it and thought, this club's a joke, I'm getting out. And if that's the reason you've left, Edu, I'll take back everything I said. I respect you. It probably isn't the reason, but anyway, you know, the club is in a mess at the minute, and this just tops it off for me. It's been a terrible few weeks at the club. So much upheaval going on. Doesn't feel like a football club. Doesn't feel like Arsenal. And now this is they've just scraped the barrel with this decision here. They've absolutely scraped. I don't think they can get any lower now. Honestly, I don't think they can get any lower. But we'll see. I mean, I'll say that, but I hope I'm right. I don't want to get any lower. El Loco says Eddie wanted to strengthen the attack with proper strikers. Arteta chose his old Man City player Sterling, who is now a disaster. Well, if that's part of the reason, then I don't blame Edu again. I support him 100% if that was the reason. LG says proof that the women's team is just a side project or side hustle for the club. Absolutely. That's exactly what it proved. And Arsenal can say whatever they want in the future about, oh yeah, the women's team is so important. We know they're lying. We know they're lying now. We know they've just proved they're lying. They don't care. They do not care, and they've proved it. And they'll never be able to turn that around now. I'm sorry, whatever they do, they're never ever going to turn that around. Terry says it couldn't get more embarrassing. Well, it could. Let's hope it doesn't, because this is embarrassing enough, isn't it? Terry says we need Lordy to buy Arsenal business out. We do. That's exactly what we need. Actually, why don't we set up a GoFundMe page to give Andreas the money to buy Arsenal, because he'll sort it out. He will sort it out. There's no doubt about it. None of this nonsense would be happening if Lord Andreas was in charge. Absolutely not. There you go. El Loco says Arteta's ego is killing Arsenal. He does not want to be told what to do. He does not want a technical director second guessing him. He wants power, just like Pep has in Man City, because he finished second twice. Well, yeah, I probably agree with you there, actually. I think that's probably true. Terry said, the bloke whose wedding got kicked out as a result, he may not know it yet. Yeah, maybe that's true, actually, yeah. They might have done him a favour, in actual fact. LG says, it's like we are now turning into Manchester. Oh my God, don't say that. But yeah, you're probably right, actually. Yeah, if you remember, Man United, actually, the club sort of stopped the women's team, didn't they? You know, I don't think Arsenal are going to quite go to that level, but yeah, it seems similar, doesn't it? Greg says, move the game to Spurs ground, sell it out, then never move another women's game. Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know if that's the right choice. Terry says, we're still paying Edu for 6 months. Oh, that's all right then. That's good, isn't it? Jared says, I wonder how the women Arsenal players feel about it. Well, this is interesting, isn't it? What I want someone to ask them. But no doubt, if they're coming out in public, they're going to support the club, because they're not going to say anything against the club, are they, that employs them? Of course they're not. So we're never really going to know how they do feel about it now. Maybe later on down the line when they've left the club, maybe that's the time to find out how they feel. Maybe let's ask ex-Arsenal players who aren't involved anymore how they feel about it, how they would have felt if they were playing now. That might be a good way to find out what the feeling is amongst women players, other players at other clubs. How would you feel if your Champions League game got kicked out for a Carabao Cup tie for the men's team? Let's find out how the women. I agree. Yeah, that's a good point, that, Joanne. Let's get to find out how the players feel, and maybe then the club might actually wake up to what they're doing. Sola says there, what should they have done? Well, what they should have done is quite obvious. They should have left the Arsenal women's game where it was, because it was already there, and find an alternative for the men's game. What that alternative is, whether it's switching grounds to play away at Crystal Palace, switching the night. The problem is that the other nights are taken up with TV games. The TV's ruled it because of the money. Well, Arsenal should say, no, I don't care about the money. We need to get this game moved. Play it on the Tuesday. Play it on the Thursday. Whatever needs to be done. That's what they should have done, and not move the women's game, because the women's game was already there. It was already there. You can't just move it. So, that doesn't matter. Sorry, you can go and play somewhere else, or we'll. I don't even know what they're going to do. They haven't even got. It's not even like they've got a plan in place for what they're going to do with that game. Where they're going to play it, when they're going to play it. There's no plan. They've just said, we don't care. We actually don't care. We're going to put this Carabao Cup time because that's more important, and you lot can just get on with it. And it's almost like, yeah, they're going to play it like in Finsbury Park. You know, get some lights up there and just play in Finsbury Park for a kickabout. That's almost like that's what Arsenal feel about it. That's how little it means to them. But what they should have done was kept the game where it was and moved the men's game. That's it. Simple. Don't be dictated to by the league or the TV companies. Say, no, sorry, our ground is being used that night. We cannot play there. And that's it. And stick to that. And if it means you lose a few million quid, it doesn't matter because you're a multi-billion-pound business. You're not going to lose money overall. You make the right decision for the club. You make the right decision for everybody. And you've not done that. And that's what they should have done. And they haven't. LG said the fact that it's a game against Bayern, which may decide if we qualify or not, is what infuriates me the most. No, absolutely. It makes it worse. But whoever it was against, even if it was against Vålerenga, even if it was against Juventus, wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. It's the same principle. But yeah, obviously the fact it's Bayern Munich, it is the crucial game potentially in the group. And it could be the biggest crowd that we're going to get probably out of the 3 group games. You'd imagine it will be. Well, it would have been if they hadn't messed about with it now, because a lot of people probably won't be able to make it whenever they move it to or wherever they move it to. But there you go. Sola says, I totally agree with you. They should have found another venue for the men's game, or another date for the men's game. Yeah, whichever one they could do. You know, that's what should have happened. But anyway, the decision's made, and I think it's given us a little bit more insight into the mindset of the people running this club. And I remember a few years ago when the European Super League was mentioned, there were protests outside the Emirates, wasn't there, to try to get rid of the owners of the club. This is the time we need protests to get rid of the owners now, after these decisions that's being made by the people that run this club. Get out of this club because you do not understand what this club means. You don't understand it clearly. All you care about is how much money is going into your pocket. It's our club. It's not your club. It's ours. You might own it. It's our club. LG says, let's go and play at the Allianz Arena. As long as we don't play where we played them last time at that campus ground where we got hammered, don't play there. But, well, yeah, maybe the Allianz Arena wouldn't be a bad choice, would it? But then home advantage is going to be so important in that game. You know, so that's the other downside to it, isn't it? Terry says, if Arteta is still at the business, we may as well tell Palace you can have a bye to the next round. Well, yeah, they did beat Aston Villa in the last round, actually. Yeah, I mean, horrible decision. It's been a horrible week. It's been a horrible few weeks, actually, to be an Arsenal fan. And, yeah, all we can hope is that things get better. And, of course, immediately things might get better tomorrow because there is a game that we can distract ourselves with. And it's going to be, hopefully, quite good. Actually, just before we get on to the Brighton game, Greg's put a good comment in there. Move the game to Wembley. Now, I like that. That's what we did with the Champions League with the men's team, didn't we, a few years ago when we was at Highbury. Move it to. I like that idea. Let's move it to Wembley. Let's do that. That is a great idea. That should be what we do. Move it to Wembley. Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Terry says we're too big for the domestic cups. Yeah, probably. Anyway, Brighton tomorrow night. Of course, you're going to the game, Andreas, aren't you? You're taking a flight tonight. It's a crazy time. And they're doing really well, actually, aren't they? They've had a great start to the season. They're above us in the league. They are playing really well. Look a really, really good side. And with all the issues that we've got on and off the pitch at the moment, this probably isn't a great time to be playing Brighton, is it?
As I said before, I consider it as a final to be back in the race for the third place. And our team knows how to win finals. So if the girls think this is our final chance to compete, we must beat Brighton. And with this pressure, maybe we'll see a great performance. And to Brighton, I think they did very well on the transfer market with Frank Kirby, with Svitkova, with Michel Aguiman, and Nikita Paris. They have a really good squad, and with their new manager, they seem to have implemented a style of ball possession, of offensive playing. I don't expect them to play a low block or park the bus in front of their goal, and this might open the chance for us. If it's an open game, then we'll do better as if against Everton or West Ham. But Brighton is really good so far this season, and I mentioned a few names. They have a dangerous and good squad. Yeah, it will be a good match. And if everybody in our team is aware how important this match is, and it's not a go through like 2 or 3 years ago, or even last year against Brighton. It's really a big game, and Brighton is one of the big teams this season. If everybody is aware, then yeah, hopefully we'll see a really good piece of football tomorrow, and yeah, and hopefully with the home crowd and the home advantage, we'll see us win. It's really necessary. If we lose, and then you can say, okay, WSL season is really over. It's not possible to come back. Even a draw makes it very, very difficult. So it's a must win. And as I said, my hope is this team is able to win finals. So let's go out and win this final tomorrow.
I mean, it almost feels like that, doesn't it? It feels like a final. It actually does. And I know it's early in the season, still fairly early, and it's a game at home to Brighton, who we generally beat fairly comfortably in recent years, certainly. But no, you're right. It's got that feeling about it, hasn't it? It's got that kind of jeopardy to this game, because you're right. If we don't win tomorrow, then obviously the league title's 100% gone, and the top three is going to be really, really tough anyway as well if we don't win the game tomorrow. So yes, it is a must-win game. We've been saying this for a while, haven't we? Every game's been a must-win game for the last few weeks, and we haven't won most of them. But we have to win this one. We have to win it. We can't afford not to. It's got to that point now, hasn't it, where it's like, come on, what are we doing? We've got to sort it out. Sola says the fact that we lost to Bayern 5-2 at their ground should have made the Emirates the perfect opportunity to avenge that with our support and home. Exactly, yeah. Exactly. That's what it was. It was that, wasn't it? Joanne says that Brighton have made some good signings. They certainly have made some very good signings. They certainly have. Wow. Terry says 4-1 to Brighton. Come on, Terry. What's happened to you? What's happened to your optimism? Come on. Brighton aren't going to beat us 4-1, are they? Terry says, unless Renee plays both Russo and Stina and goes all out attacking football. Well, yeah, let's see if that happens. 170 says, gets Taiwu on a stream. So I don't know who Taiwu is actually, but anyway. LG says, Pauline Bremner still gives me nightmares of that Wolfsburg game. Yes, indeed, it was her goal, wasn't it, at the very end of stoppage time that broke all our hearts that night at the Emirates when we were so close to a penalty shootout. And who knows, so close to a Champions League final. Yeah, that still gives me nightmares as well, actually. Terry says, we'll win 6. That's more like it. We'll win 6-1. That's better. I feel better now. Greg says, the Emirates will intimidate Brighton every time they play at a big stadium. They freeze. Yeah, no, I think that is a good point, and let's hope it does. But they've got players now that have got more experience of those type of games now, haven't they? So I'm not sure if it will intimidate them particularly, but let's see. We have to hope it does. I mean, obviously, I still think that, yeah, Brighton have made some great signs. They've got a great team. There's no doubt about that. They're playing well. But if you look at it player for player, we're still much stronger than them. We've still got a better team. We've got a better squad, and we should win the game. But that's not how football tends to work. Certainly not how it works for us this season. Will Brighton come and sit and defend, or will they come and play some football? That's going to be how Brighton set out the game is going to be quite key, isn't it? I think if they do open up and try and play their football, it might work in our favour on the bigger pitch and stuff like that. If they do go defensive, get everyone behind the ball, close down the spaces, then it's going to be more difficult, and it could be a frustrating evening. But I'd like to think we've got enough about us to be able to win the game. I'm hoping that the fans that are there tomorrow make their feelings clear as well about the Bayern Munich game. Banners would be nice in the stadium. If you've got a chance to make some banners and take them into the stadium, would be good. Outside the stadium, make your feelings known that it's not acceptable. But let's not distract it from the game, because that's an important game we have to win. But yes, that's what needs to happen. LG says, Bremner, Kirby, Paris, that's a top. No, it is a top. Well, they got some great players, absolutely. Of course they have. But I think Nikita Paris and Frank Kirby are maybe past their best now, and that's why they're at Brighton as opposed to the top teams, if you like. Although Brighton in the league doing really well, they're still not a big top club, are they? Greg says it will be our biggest win this season. I agree with Terry, 6-1. I'd love to think you're right. I mean, 6-1 would be amazing, wouldn't it? But at this moment in time, We just need to win. And that's all we have to do. We just need to go out tomorrow night at the Emirates, hopefully a reasonably decent crowd. Friday night's not ideal. And it's weird, isn't it? Because we talked about this last week. Why did they move the game to a Friday? Because of the Champions League. So they care about the Champions League when it suits them. They don't care about the Champions League when it doesn't suit them, which is a strange decision. So now we're playing on a Friday night, which doesn't suit Andrea because he's got to fly. What time are you flying tomorrow? Are you flying tomorrow or tonight?
I'm flying tomorrow very early in the morning. I had booked it for the evening flight Friday, and when they changed the time, I tried to change my flight and get a day off, and it works. But this means I have to be at the airport at 7:30 in the morning. So my night will be very short. I have to get up very early, but well, it's worth it. I want to be there, and otherwise I would have to cancel the whole weekend. Because flying on Friday night, then staying in London, okay, staying in London Saturday, Sunday is nice, but I'm coming to see the match. And very early, short night, but I'll be there, and I hope the team will be thankful to me and show a good performance. I just checked their squad again. There's also Kiko Seike, this Japanese striker who had a very good first two matches. She's dangerous. Then Jelena Jankovic from Chelsea, the midfielder. Vicky Losada, another great player. Of course, there are elder players who are maybe not in their peak, but they are still good enough to perform. And we see Brighton, they are really dangerous. But as I said, I don't think they will play a low block. The philosophy of their coach is to attack, to have an open game, and this gives me hopes. And I don't think it will be a 6-1. I think it will be 2-1, and the one we will concede will be after a corner, and Fran Kirby will head it in. Not the tallest. Fran Kirby will head it in. She will win the header against Kim in our box, but we will win 2-1.
Well, I mean, we'll take a 2-1. Absolutely, we just need to win the game. Joanne says take a 1-0. Of course, we always would say we'll take a 1-0 at this moment in time with the things that's gone on in the last few weeks. I think we'll all take a 1-0. Absolutely, no problem at all. LG says Nikita Paris is probably one of the players that has suffered from the evolution of women's football, just like Jordan Nobbs. These are players who shined pre-FA play. No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely, and that's part of the nature of the game growing, isn't it? That's going to happen. Some players are going to maybe suffer on the back of that. Some players have done. But yeah, I agree. I think you're right there. Terry says, Joanne, come on, 1-0. Please show some faith in these goals. But it's showing faith, isn't it? We're winning the game. We haven't won a game for it seems like ages. Greg says their left back is a good player. The rest are just average or past it. I don't know about average, past it. Some of them probably are a little bit past it, but we'll maybe let them off. But 2-1 is a good score from Andreas. We'll take a 2-1. Absolutely, we will. I think we will win because we have to win, and I think we've got the players to win. I think it could be quite an open, exciting game. Actually, I think there will be goals. I think Brighton have got goals in their team with the players they've got. If we can get going in our front line, we've got goals in our team as well. I can see there being goals. I'm going to go for a 3-2. How does that sound? 3-2 to Arsenal. I mean, Andreas, you're going to have a few goals to enjoy tomorrow night. I think it's going to be good. It might be a bit tense. We might have to come from behind. We might have to, go through all the emotions that we normally do watching Arsenal. But I think we'll come out on top in the end, and it could be quite good fun. So that's going to be good. Joanne says, I can't help it. I feel punched. Well, look, you're predicting a 1-0 win, and that's fine. As long as you predict a win, that's all we care about. And I'm sure we will win. But I do think there'll be goals in this game. I just think there's too many good attacking players, and Brighton are playing really well at the minute. And I think it'll be good. So, yes, we are going to win. And it's going to be a good night. And of course, we'll be here for the game as always. We'll be here. It's 7:00 kickoff, isn't it? So it's quite an early kickoff as well for a night game. So that probably won't help the attendance as well, I suppose. So I'm not expecting it to be anywhere near. Do we know how many tickets have been sold, Andreas, to this game yet?
I think I read something about 20,000 a few days ago. I think 20,000 would be really good attendance for a Friday evening.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. If it was 20,000, that would be really good. And if any more than that would be fantastic. So yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, is it, playing on a Friday night? But you know, it is what it is, I suppose. And if it helps us in the Champions League next week, then obviously we'll be happy about that. Greg says, you really think DVD will let into? Well, I don't think she'll let into. I think the defence in front of her will let her down and enable Brighton to score 2. So I'm not blaming her. She won't be at fault for any of them. But yeah, I mean, obviously Brighton are a good team, and I think they might score a goal or 2. 170 Gala says this channel deserves more subs. Well, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll get more subs. We are actually about 100 away from 3,000 now. So if you haven't subbed yet, please consider it, because what we want to try to do is get to 3,000 before Christmas. Wouldn't that be a great Christmas present for the channel, to get to 3,000 subscribers by Christmas? We only need about another 100 or so, maybe just over. But I think it was 103 yesterday, so it might have gone up to that. I'm not sure. LG says, you could argue that Viv was at her peak in that pre-2019. Oh, absolutely, she was. Yeah, no, 100%. There's no. I don't think there's any doubt about that. She was definitely at her peak then. And if you look at her, she's slowly gone down in her effectiveness, partly to do with injuries, partly to do with other aspects, I think, as well. You know, mentally not happy and this kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. Sola says, please not Kim defending corners. Well, no, obviously after last week, absolutely not. I never want to see her defend a corner again, but she probably will. Terry says, well said, Greg. Indeed, yeah, I mean, you know, but I do think Villa are, I do think, not Villa, Brighton are a good side and are going to cause us problems. But we're going to win, and it's going to be a good start to the weekend, isn't it? Because when you play on a Friday night, you have to win. Because if you don't, you've got it's going to ruin the whole weekend. And when you think that the men don't play until late on Sunday, we've got the whole weekend to be sad if Arsenal women don't win tomorrow. So they've got to win for that reason and that reason alone. So that's another reason to win the game. So it makes our weekend then, doesn't it? You know, normally this show's on a Friday and it ushers in the weekend in great spirits, doesn't it? Now it's that onus now, that responsibility is gone over to the women's team tomorrow night. They've got to take on that mantle from us to cheer up your weekend and usher in the weekend in the right way. They've got to do it. And if they don't, I'm sorry, but it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And we'll have words next week about it if they don't. I'm telling you, we will have strong words about it. So yes, it's going to be good tomorrow. And of course, Andreas will be there. So if you are at the Emirates tomorrow night and you do see Andreas, are you going in the posh seats again? I'm sure you are, aren't you?
Let's see. I read that the tube strike is cancelled, so everything will be normal. Yeah, I hope. Yeah. Oh well, I will meet Eng in front of the media center after the match. I hope. So yeah, let's see.
Good stuff. Are you in the are you in club level again?
Yes, of course. It's my season ticket. Yeah.
Club level, exactly.
Yeah. As I booked for the Bayern Munich match. Yeah.
Which we may not get. You may not get in club level for that one because not club level at the Emirates anyway. But yeah, we'll have to wait. We're going to see what happens with that, aren't we? What decision they come to for all of that, we'll see. Greg says, we won't be sad. Women won't let us down. No, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you are right. I'm sure they won't let us down. But at this moment in time, I'm not 100% confident, but I'm optimistic. LG says, this stubbornness to always play a pivot of Walty and Little is frustrating. It should be one or the other. But yeah, I think you probably, especially at home games as well, at the Emirates, I think it's really important that we maybe don't play the two of them, but I think we will. Under this manager, I can't see it changing. When we get a new manager in, the permanent manager, maybe it will, but in the time being, I agree we should be doing that. Terry says, at least we know the men's team will ruin the rest of Sunday. Well, probably will, yeah. But let's not worry about that yet. We'll worry about that on Sunday. Greg says, the Lord will be in the director's box soon. Exactly, yeah, he will be in the director's box soon. I'm sure he will. And things will be different. Things will be different, and it's going to be much better. 170 Gunner says, Marnham can't start. I kind of agree. I think she should be on the bench. To come off the bench, she maybe makes more of an impact there at the moment. Maybe play Mariona in that more central position, number 10. I'd like to see Stina and Leslie play. Don't think it will happen. I think it'll be one or the other. Potentially Leslie again because she played so well last week. That will be my guess. But let's see. Let's see what the team lineup is, but let's just get the win. Doesn't matter who plays. Let's just get the win, and then if we don't win, then we can discuss the team and say, like last week, the substitutions were wrong because we didn't win the game. If we win the game, doesn't matter. We're all happy, even if we disagree with the decisions before the game. Anyway, so tomorrow's going to be good. If you do see Andreas in and around the Emirates, do say hello. He would be pleased to meet. Get a selfie with him if you can reach, because he's very tall. But do get a selfie with Andreas if you do meet him, because that'd be good. And I'll be back, of course, tomorrow at 6:45 for the game. And of course, on Sunday as well for the men's game, I'll be at 4:15 for the Chelsea game. Wow, that's a big game as well, isn't it? What a weekend it is going to be. Let's hope that Arsenal can cheer us up and give us something to be excited about this weekend and something to be happy about for a change. It seems like a long time, doesn't it? But I'm sure it will be tomorrow. So join us for all of that. Of course, next week there's loads of stuff. There's Champions League for the women. There's all sorts going on. There's going to be new managers, maybe. There's going to be new directors of football coming up. Loads of stuff. A new date or a new venue for the Bayern Munich game. We look forward to that. Probably in the local park. So that's going to be good. So, stay with us for all that. Do like, share, and subscribe. Andreas, great to see you again, as always. Have a safe flight, of course, tomorrow. Enjoy the game. I'm sure you will. And obviously, we'll be back next Friday. We should be all right, shouldn't we? Because next Friday.
Derby, yes.
You're not going to the Tottenham game, are you?
No.
No, that's a shame. That would be a good game, though, wouldn't it? But yeah, so we'll be back next Friday on our usual day and our usual time. Have you enjoyed the show again? Lots to discuss, of course, as always.
Yeah, lots of problems to discuss, and very interesting. And I enjoyed to be here, and looking forward to the game tomorrow and to better times for the Arsenal.
That's what we're all hoping for. Better times, indeed, better times. But the good thing is that regardless of what happens on the pitch, regardless of what happens off the pitch at Arsenal, you've always got this show and this channel to keep you amused and for enjoy every week. So that's a good thing, isn't it? No matter how bad things get, we'll always try and cheer you up if we can. Terry says, director's box, Buckhouse, and then a bear with big ears, Charlie on the lawn. a beer with big ears, Charlie. Yeah, no, that'd be good, wouldn't it? That's a good weekend now, wouldn't it? Joanne says, great show. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Don't forget to give us a like, share us. I'll see you tomorrow night. It's going to be a big, big game. We're going to enjoy it. Arsenal women versus Brighton from the Emirates. Well, what more do you want on a Friday? Well, apart from this show on a Friday, it's the next best thing, isn't it? Actually watching the game. So join us for that. It's going to be good. I will see you for that. I'll see you Sunday for the men's game as well. Thanks to Andreas for joining us. Thanks to everybody for watching, joining in with your comments, everything else. Brilliant stuff. Always great to have you with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Ta-ra for now. Come on, you Gunners. Let's do it. Come on. Big weekend.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon. See you tomorrow. Ta-ra.